It's a Super Bowl week. Yes, it is. It's a Super Bowl week. Yes, it is. I want to start off by saying this. In your mind, who is probably the most intense player in sports that you ever knew in sports as a fan? Like just the most, like, would do anything to win, will put in all the work to win, do whatever it takes to win. Who would that be? For a lot of you, it probably would be Kobe Bryant. Probably would be Kobe Bean Bryant. It's an interesting story, though, about Kobe. And he's told it more than a few times. Kobe said it didn't matter when he was doing his workouts, how many jumpers he was putting up, what other stuff he had to do when he was playing and when he finished playing, no matter how many projects he had. There was two things that he always made sure that he did. One was drop off his daughters at school, and the second was pick them up. No matter what else was going on, drop his daughters off at school, tell them to have a good day, pick them up from school, ask them how their day went. You don't know how much time you ever have left on this planet. So you have to make the time that you do have count. There's nothing more important in life than your family. That's your blood. That's your DNA. That's your legacy. No job, no sport, no nothing ever should come before your family. Unfortunately, in America, we live with a bunch of idiots. We live with a bunch of idiots that would actually smear a man who has lost his job for being a good husband and a good father. It's one of those things where if you're writing an article about somebody getting fired, you have to ask yourself, what's more important here? The actual facts of why the person got fired, or do you want to take that shot to go viral? And that's what they did. Because the facts don't match up with what actually happened. See, the Vikings GM took off 2 weeks for paternity leave in 2023 because his wife had a difficult pregnancy. Even if she didn't matter. He wanted to be around for the first few weeks for his newborn son, which are oftentimes the hardest weeks, the hardest time right after childbirth. He didn't stop working. He was working remotely, in contact with people every single day. Literally had nothing to do with nothing because the next year on his watch, they went 14-3. So this literally has nothing to do with nothing. No one would know about it if it wasn't reported. No one would know about it if it wasn't reported. So why was it reported? What was the point of putting it out there? The point of putting it out there is because you know how people are going to react to it. Even though it has nothing to do with him getting fired, and really shows that he's a good person, you knew how people was going to react to it. And that's terrible. That's really bad. And what's funny to me, what's interesting to me, is black fathers get a bad reputation. We're always the one that are called deadbeats. We are the ones that have been told that we break up our families, we leave our families. We have a terrible reputation. But then white men go on social media and say that the Vikings GM is not a good leader because he wanted to spend time with his wife and kid. White men get on the podium in front of national media and say, I only spend 25 minutes a week with my kid that I live in the same house of. White men go on national television and tell a story about how they got a call that their wife is in labor. They just ignore it. Keep driving to the game. Find out after the game that the baby was born. But it's a black man that is supposedly bad fathers out there. And we have to be honest. The Vikings GM is black, Somalian. That's why this smear campaign is happening. Most GMs get fired. They talk about their bad moves or whatever, and that's it. They normally go get another job. But this seems intentionally cruel and unusual. But why? What has he done? Imagine saying, so we're going to smear this guy by saying that he's a good father and a good husband. That's we're gonna smear this guy for that. And they always say this stuff. It's the whole thing, like this whole thing about the NFL. There's so many lies, right? Like they always talk about the Patriots way, as if somehow, some way, the Patriots are better than everybody else. It's the Patriots way. When the Patriots had murderers on the team, with criminals on the team, the owner was caught getting happy endings. They cheat us. I mean, they've been caught cheating, admitted to cheating, but it's the Patriots way. The same thing when people say, oh, well, NFL culture. It's NFL culture. You have to sacrifice everything. No, you don't. It's football. It's just a game. You don't have to sacrifice everything. That's a cop-out. If you want to spend more than 25 minutes with your kid, you can. Nothing is going to change if you spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours with your kid every day. You're still going to be the same coach. You could have went to the labor and witnessed the birth of your child. The sun would have came up tomorrow. The game would have been okay. If you missed that one game, they would have been all right. Your wife is in labor. And listen, gentlemen, if your wife has had a safe, easy labor, bless you. You're blessed. You're blessed for that to have happened. Many of us have experienced the opposite, where it's been very tough labors, very tough postpartum type of things. And as the husbands, the boyfriends, the significant others, we want to do whatever we can to try to make it better. That's the reason they say giving birth is the closest thing to death, than actual death. It's just disgusting. Not surprising, but it was a disgusting display of a smear campaign. And it was disgusting to see players calling him out on this. But these are also the same guys that have 4 kids with 4 baby mamas. So maybe they aren't the ones you should listen to. I advise everyone to go watch that Elway doc. John Elway, one of the most famous, successful quarterbacks of all time. Can't take that away from him. Made millions and millions of dollars, won championships, was a star since probably high school. Look at the pain in his eyes, the pain in his wife's eyes, the pain in his kids' eyes when he talks about what he had to do to get to that. And how he's happy he got grandkids now, so he don't make the same mistakes. That's a trade-off for anything. Now, I understand there's always some sacrifice involved in life to be able to take care of your family, to make sure that they're okay and everything. But how much of that trade-off are you willing to work your relationship with your kids, your wife, your family, your brothers, your sisters, all over football or basketball or baseball? Think about that. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. Somebody said, well, that makes him a bad leader. Just think about that for a second. You're saying someone that would spend their time being a good father and a good husband is a bad leader. A good and here's the other thing about sports, right? They act like it's just the end all be all of everything. It's like you have free time. You have time to spend with your wife. You have time to spend with your kids. You're making a choice. That's cap. That is NFL culture. I saw someone say, what if it was a undrafted free agent? Well, obviously that's a different situation. This is somebody's fighting for the livelihood of their family. But that's the whole point of getting into certain situations. You move up from an undrafted free agent to a starter, you got more carte blanche. Let's just use some common sense here. Oh my goodness. Terrible, terrible. We live in a terrible society. Terrible, terrible society. Our priorities are all messed up. Now you can understand why we can watch kids get like shot and killed and don't care about it. We're terrible. We're terrible people. There's no such thing as karma. Why hasn't the NFL made a statement about the Giants owner in them Epstein files? Huh? What's taking so long with that? You know what I'm saying? What's taking so long with that? If you're rich and you're powerful, karma doesn't come back at you. Just look who's in charge. Look who pays the less taxes. A waitress, a doorman or whatever is paying 30-40% taxes, but Elon Musk is not paying any. And he's the most wealthiest man in the world. Trump ain't paid taxes in 30 years. He's a terrible person and he's the president. Karma doesn't exist. Bad people win a lot. A lot. So here's some of these comments. Rob, I don't know if you know this, but someone brought up a great point on Nightcap about the Vikings. This is people are trash. They are. They're terrible people. They really are. As soon as he got fired, I knew the smear campaign. They didn't even wait a week. Here's the thing. If you want to say you fired him because he took... Here's what I don't understand. They act like, did the coach have no input on J.J. McCarthy? Did the offensive coordinator have no input on them letting Sam Darnold go? Or not putting up the money for Daniel Jones? Was it just all him? Did he tell the coach, hey, listen, did he draft J.J. McCarthy on his own? The coach had nothing to do with it. Seems a little convenient. Old man doesn't seem like being old. Family. Yeah, they just don't want to go. If you're a coach, you can go home. Everything that you need is on your laptop. You can watch. Here's the thing. You can go home, hang out with your kid, I mean, kids still go to bed at like 9 o'clock, right? I mean, these are toddlers we're talking about, newborns. I mean, I'm sure you can watch Miss Rachel with your kid for a couple of hours. They go to bed, and then you can go in your office because you got a nice house. Go on your laptop and watch film of the Lions. I'm sure it's not as difficult as they're trying to make it out to be. You don't have to come in and just slam the door. You can come in and talk to your wife about whatever she's doing. You can spend time with your family and then go do whatever you need to do and try to figure out the zone blitz. Get the F out of here. Andy Reid. I mean, listen, if you listen, there are so many celebrity kids and athlete kids that are just messed up. You know, one reason that I would say coaches bring their or the kids want to be coaches is to be around their father. Like, that's the only way I can be around my father is if I'm doing something with the team. So that's how you end up with all these kid coaches. And their sons end up being coaches. I don't know if that was their lifelong dream, but they probably was like, I just want to be around my dad. I just want to be around my dad. That's it. I just want to be around that. There's no such thing as karma. And it actually, listen, I believe in a higher power because we got here somehow, some way, right? But it's definitely not in our favor. I mean, too much bad stuff happens to good people. Like, if there was someone that was looking out for us, how could there be a Trump? How could there be slavery and civil rights and all of this stuff? How can all this stuff be happening? How can somebody be watching over us and they say we're just gonna let somebody go in there with a gun and murder 20, 30 kids, and then they're not gonna do anything about it? They're not gonna change any laws. Right? There is no karma. You better make your own karma. If you're rich, you win. Learned that a long time ago. You know, this has let me add to you a perfect example of how society is set up backwards. First off, there shouldn't even be credit reporting. You should have credit scores. Nobody does that except America. But anyway, let's say you have a good credit score, right? 700, 750, 800, whatever. You work hard to get your good credit score. You pay everything on time. You keep all your bills up to date. You work very, very hard to get your good credit score, right? To the point that you want to go buy something. You want to buy a car. You want to buy a house. You want to, whatever, right? You want to buy a boat, whatever it may be. Why in the world, when you go buy something because you have the good credit, your credit goes down? Not up, it goes down. So you spent all this, you spent these years and years getting this good credit. You go buy something with the good credit. You haven't even made a payment yet to know if you can make the payments or not. But your score goes down as soon as they hit that button. Boom, 20 points, 30 points, 40 points. Just for wanting something. Is this not Will the Hill? Me and Will used to work at Charter Communications before it was Spectrum. Many years ago, back in our call center days. That was crazy. Sean Payton had a mistress pills with a 13 game. Nobody even likes Sean Payton, but he wins games. No quarterbacks don't like him, but he wins games. I gotta say something about the Grammys, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, I saw Jelly Roll, right, and this is what I mean about the way people are and karma and all of this stuff. And I don't know Jelly Roll personally, but whatever. I saw Jelly Roll get up there and say Jesus 700 times, right? Jesus save me, Jesus this, Jesus that, love Jesus, Jesus will do whatever. Love Jesus. I got my little mini Bible and everything. And I saw these people say, oh man, God, I jelly roll it. We need Jesus in our life and Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Then afterwards, they say, hey, Jelly, what do you think about ICE just murdering these people in the street? And all of a sudden he said he's a dumb redneck. I don't think that's what Jesus would say. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure Jesus would be a big fan of 12 guys in mass shooting a guy in broad daylight multiple times. I could be wrong. But Jesus, 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 until you got to make a statement about the people that buy your records. Then all of a sudden it's a problem. Then it's like, I don't know anything. I'm not political. You know, I hate when people say that I'm not political. There's nothing political about saying I don't think it's normal to see the government murder people in the streets. Don't think that's a political stance. I don't think that's a political stance. If you're black and kind of falling out, you just go hang out with Trump. That's all you gotta do. If you a black D-list celebrity or an A-list celebrity, you now it's a D-list celebrity, let's go hang out with Trump, like Nicki Minaj. Now, this may backfire because, you know, they only got 3 more years. So you better get whatever pardons or whatever you can get before. I would like to think we would vote for another Trump, but we did vote. They did vote for him twice, so it's not possible. It is possible. It's definitely possible. Just letting you know. Yeah, the Grammys is like either it's like F Ice or I'm not gonna say anything. My fan base is whatever. I'm not gonna say nothing. But you can't come out and be like Jesus this and Jesus that, and then act dumb when someone asks you about people getting murdered in the street. Doesn't quite work like that. Yeah, I mean, he's in the WWE. That's what I know about Jelly Roll. But you just can't be using Jesus for that. But I guess you can. People always say that. It's always the meanest people online are the ones that always has like Bible verses in their profile. They're always Christian. Those are the most evil people. Those are the ones that we call the black people monkeys and all of that stuff. But they have Christian in their thing. It's the Bible is just a book. And the things about books. The things about books is a word called interpretation. You can take something in the book and interpret it any way you want. The KKK used the Bible for justification of being hanging, black people. So you can take the Bible and do whatever you want with it. It's just a book that was written. We don't know how accurate it is. The stuff that was happening in the Bible, I think the book was written, word of mouth. A lot of stuff can be manipulated. The book's 1,000 years old. Yeah, man. Interpretation. It's a Super Bowl week. Super Bowl weeks are interesting. They've become more corporate events than anything else. It's more corporate. The game is kind of secondary till it actually happens. But it's more about who's performing, the commercials, the endorsements. It's not as many parties as it used to be. There was a time in its heyday, at least early in my career, in the early 2010s, where Thursday, Fridays, Saturday night, man, it was you had your choice of like 6, 7, 8 parties. Especially if it was in a city where everything was like centrally located. These days, there's not as many. Not as many. I don't know why. I think they made it more expensive. They don't want to pay nobody, whatever. But you get all the media there. It's kind of a media gathering, so to speak. of the NFL. You have Radio Row. What's interesting is most media leaves on Friday. Not a lot stay for the game. You have a group of media that stays for the game, but a lot of the media, they prefer to watch the game at home. So they're out of there on Friday night or Saturday morning. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people leave. It's expensive. It's expensive, the hotels and the food and the transportation and stuff like that. If somebody's competent for you, that's good. But a lot of these networks and a lot of these smaller local, they don't want to comp that like they used to. They don't comp that. The I wish they went back to they won't, but I wish they went back to the media day being in the afternoon on Tuesday, like outside at the stadium. But now it's a big production and everything. It's more show than anything else. You'll see Monday. You don't really get no good answer. There's always somebody that goes viral for doing something crazy and whatnot. But interesting matchup. So the interesting matchup. Most important thing is that you get a good game. And over the last few years, last 10, 15 years, it was pretty much a good game. Speaking of wrestling, I seen a highlight of them using Brock Lesnar to pour cold water on Obi Finn and the other brother. There was a lot of brothers in the Royal Rumble, a couple of sisters, but in the end, it's still Roman Reigns. It's one of the things that the WWE, when they get it, sometimes they get it right by accident, and when they don't have anything accidental, they just go back to what they know. Brock Lesnar. They used to be the Undertaker for a long time. Brock. Now it's Roman Reigns. It was Cody Rhodes for a while. Sometimes they get an accident. When I said accident, I mean like Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston, Jey Uso, where something happens and it's kind of like it has a life of its own because that individual has gotten so over. Now, normally after that, they blow it. They blew it, with Daniel Bryan. Some of that was injury, but they didn't capitalize on that like they should have. Kofi got a decent run. But after he lost the belt, the way he lost the belt, it never quite was the same. I did not like how they handled Jey Uso. They didn't handle the John Cena retirement thing very well. I don't know what's going on with the AJ Styles one. That seemed like just to come out of the blue. Maybe he didn't want to tour or anything like that. He just want to go right off into the sunset. But we get Roman Reigns again. And that's not a knock on Roman, but I mean he's a moneymaker. He's the star. It's like Stone Cold, whatever. You always gonna get Stone Cold at the end, but sometimes I think you should just get a breath of fresh air. A breath of fresh air. So I'm gonna leave you with that this Monday. I'm gonna listen to me some Bobby Brown on this record player and try to hope for a better day. Don't forget, be good fathers, good husbands. Nothing wrong with that. It's actually encouraged